Every year at the conference, we receive an informative and valued update from our TRS regarding our investment. You should have received a copy of the presentation to give you an opportunity to view ahead of time. Upon the completion of the presentation, we will have some allotted time to allow you to ask some questions. And if you don't, later on, if you think of a question, certainly send it to me and we'll certainly forward that and get those answered. But please let me introduce, this is Addison Reagan, Assistant Director of Governmental Relations with TRS. And Addison, we'll turn it over to you and let you introduce any guests you have and give us a TRS update, please.
All right, fantastic. Thank you all so much for having me. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so that you all can see the presentation. Let me get this all pulled up here. Julie, can you hear me okay?
Yes,
I won't be.
Yeah, we're good.
All right, fantastic. So you should be able to see the first slide. It should take up your whole screen. So hello, everyone. I am Addison Reagan. As Julie mentioned, I'm the Assistant Director of Governmental Relations, and I work with Marita Zoga, who's the Director of Governmental Relations at TRS. Some of y'all may know her from past TRTA presentations. Last September, I was recruited from the Capitol because of my legislative background, having worked for 2 different senators, where I would condense information and present it to the senator and to other legislative staff. I'm looking forward to doing the same for you all today. However, I am prohibited from lobbying, so I'm just here to share with you all what has been happening at TRS. Just so that everyone can hear, it would be best if everyone remains muted during the presentation and submits questions via the chat function. I will answer your questions at the end. And like Julie said, if there are any questions that we don't get to, or if you think of them later, she'll get that to me and I'll forward it on to our experts at TRS to get you an answer. So this is my first time presenting to District 8. So again, thank you so much for having me, and I'm excited to get started. We have 4 important topics to discuss with you today. The first item on the agenda is an overview of TRS and COVID-19. Then we have a special guest from executive leadership at the Investment Management Division, Dale West, who is the Senior Managing Director of Public Markets at the Investment Management Division. And he will review your pension trust fund and speak to the importance of diversification. After that, I'll discuss some of the upcoming changes to the TRS care plans, but know that your premiums and plan designs are not changing. I'll conclude the presentation with an update on long-term estate planning. Let's talk about TRS and COVID-19. In the midst of the pandemic, we know that our retirees have questions about the impact of COVID-19. Specifically, they wonder what is happening with the market fluctuations, and are their annuities going to change? The good news is that your annuities are not at risk. Your payments will not stop, will not change, and will not be delayed. This is one of the benefits of having a defined benefit plan that is professionally managed by an investment team. You can see on the slide that investment returns make up over 62% of pension fund revenue. Last year, we paid out $11.4 billion in annuity payments to 434,000 members, payments that we can and will continue to make regardless of what happens in the markets. This is possible because TRS is liquid, large, and most certainly long-term. TRS is the 6th largest fund in the US, and we are consistently ranked among the top 25 largest pension funds in the world. Your world-class team at TRS helps make up what the pension trust fund pays out to keep the pension fund solvent for generations to come. To accomplish this, the Investment Management Division created a complex diversification plan on your behalf. Today, like I mentioned, we have a member from executive leadership at the Investment Management Division to give a status update on the TRS Pension Trust Fund and a look into how the IMD operates. I am excited to introduce Dale West, who is the Senior Managing Director of Public Markets. He earned his MBA from Stanford, but was first a UT grad. I'll now kick it over to you, Dale.
Thanks, Addison, and thank you, District 8, for having us with you this morning. We really appreciate the opportunity. Before I was a Longhorn down here in Austin, I spent 12 years in Texas schools up in the Panhandle. So proud product of Texas schools. I wish we could be up in Northeast Texas with you today, and maybe we can look forward to that next year. I'm one of about 190 professionals on the TRS investment team that is dedicated to keeping the retirement promise that the state of Texas has made to you. And our mission is to invest the trust fund to achieve the highest possible return we can, consistent with a prudent and diversified portfolio. Now, the slide you're seeing now shows the power of that diversification and how it's played out so far in 2020. We began the fiscal year last August 2019 at just over $157 billion. Now, as the extent of damage from COVID-19 became clearer, we had one of the fastest stock market crashes ever on record. And at the bottom, stock markets around the world had fallen more than 30%. But because the TRS Trust is diversified, our portfolio was down less than the stock market. From the peak in February to the bottom in March, we were down a little more than 13%. But more importantly, your portfolio has recovered with the market's recovery. As of June 30th, you can see on the slide, we were just behind where we started the school year. And as of today, we've completely made up the losses from this spring, and we're at a value of just over $160 billion. And that's after we've paid out benefits all along the way. Now, you may have heard some talk about the investment fees that TRS pays, that somehow TRS is wasting money that could be used to pay benefits. That would make me angry if I were in your seat and hearing that. And it does make me angry because I know that we take our responsibility to be good stewards very seriously. And this next slide helps illustrate why we pay investment fees. It's an actual example of a private equity fund from the TRS portfolio. Now, first, what's private equity? Private equity managers buy companies that aren't traded on the stock market. They usually buy the whole company and then fix it up or grow it and sell it on. And a private equity fund is just a collection of those investments over a period of about 10 years by a single manager. Now, the fund in this example gave you on average a 13% return each year over the 10-year period. That's the green bar on the right-hand side of this chart. You can see on the left-hand side of the slide that the manager's investments generated an average return of about 15.3% per year. And out of that, the manager charged TRS about 0.5% in management fees and a little under 2% as a performance fee out of the profits. Altogether, that's a 2.3% annualized fee. Now, 2.3% is certainly high compared to what an investor would pay on a plain vanilla mutual fund in a 401k, for instance. But the key number here is what you kept. That 13% return after fees compares to our overall pension fund return of about 9% over the last 10 years. So we did pay higher fees, but only to benefit the bottom line of the fund. Like the old saying, you get what you pay for. Eliminate the high fees on this investment, and you also eliminate the higher returns. Now, I don't want to give you the impression that we just accept Wall Street fees without a fight. And working to reduce fees is one of the best ways we can add value as an investment team. When we choose investments like stocks, they might go up or down, but when we negotiate fee savings, that all drops down to the bottom line. And we have two main lines of attack. Using the flexibility we got from the legislature in 2019, we're working hard to bring investing in-house when we think we can do it as well as the external managers. And we've saved over $100 million in fees through those efforts, over and above the cost of the extra people we've hired. Another key way we save fees is by negotiating hard. We use our size and get volume discounts, and we work through industry organizations to come up with fairer ways to compensate our investment managers. We're working actively to reduce the fee bill at the trust level. Having said all that, our ability to pay fees when we need to and use complex investments directly benefits you. This next slide shows some figures from the board's investment consultant, Aon, that compare TRS to a typical public pension plan. Aon reported that as of last September, TRS had done better than 90% of public pension plans over a 10-year period, with a return of 8.8% annualized compared to our median peer at 8.2%. Now, I recognize the first instinct when you see numbers like 8.8 and 8.2% is to think it doesn't look like much of a difference. But that leaves out a couple of things. One is how big TRS is, and second is the power of compound interest over 10 years. 10 years ago, TRS was about $91 billion in size, And when you start off that big, the difference over 10 years between earning 8.8% and 8.2% compounds to about $11 billion. That's $11 billion extra on the bottom line after paying all the fees and all the costs of the investment management division. Having a professional team that's outperforming the peers is an important part of keeping that retirement promise to you. Addison's about to tell you some of the great things the legislature did in 2019 to strengthen the pension fund, which we're grateful for, and which added over $1 billion in additional funding to the trust. And I sure don't need to tell this group how hard you worked to get that success at the legislature. But I do know we wouldn't want to be in a situation where the problem was $11 billion bigger. And that's why we occasionally pay for complex alternative investments, because at the end of the day, we believe that will continue to deliver better results. If you'll bear with me, I want to go just a bit deeper into this idea of diversification. Diversification means that we hold different kinds of assets or investments in markets across the world. And that positions us for the long term because we don't know the future for any one particular asset or country. And it's what makes the portfolio resilient during times of volatility, like we had earlier this spring. Diversification is a key part of being a prudent fiduciary, and that's something we and the TRS Board of Trustees take very seriously. Now, this next slide is a little bit ugly, but it's one of my favorites because I'm an investment guy and I like to get into the numbers. And I think it helps illustrate why we don't put all our eggs in any one basket, and instead we have a diversified portfolio. Each of these boxes is a particular kind of investment and how it performed in a given calendar year. As an example, you can take a look at that purple box, which is long-term US Treasuries, a key part of our portfolio. You can see that in years like 2011 and 2014, you were really glad to have Treasury bonds in your portfolio because they were at the top of the heap. But then take a look at 2013 and 2016. In those years, Treasuries were among the worst investments. And in fact, in 2013, you lost quite a bit of money just investing in Treasuries. Now, while we're on this slide, let me also point you to the green boxes, which are so-called alternative investments. Those are things like private market investments and hedge funds, more complicated investment strategies that generally aren't available to individual investors, but which are an important part of the TRS portfolio. They are some of the investments where we pay higher fees, but you can also see that there are a lot of green boxes in the top half of this slide. That is, they're some of our highest returners. So thank you for being patient with me as I go through some of the facts and figures of our investment program. It's something that I care a lot about, and it's something that we want to be more transparent with you about. What I'll leave you with is that you have a professional team working hard to generate the highest returns from a diversified portfolio and working to do it in a cost-effective way where we're only spending fee dollars when we think it will benefit the bottom line. That's the approach that's made us one of the top performing pension plans in the United States, and that's something that we're proud of because we know who it's for. Thank you, and back to you, Addison.
Thanks, Dale. So now let's talk about what the legislature did for y'all last session. The legislature passed Senate Bill 12 that gradually increases contributions to your TRS pension trust fund to make it actuarially sound. You can see on the slide that by fiscal year 2025, that's September 1, calendar year 2024, the state will be at a contribution rate of 8.25%. We haven't seen contribution rates that high since the 1980s. As you know, state law prohibits the legislature from considering a benefit enhancement, like a cost of living adjustment or a 13th check, unless the fund is actuarially sound. State law defines that as having a funding period of less than 31 years. As a result of the implementation of SB 12 last year, our unfunded liability decreased from a funding period of 87 years to 29 years. Because the fund was made actuarially sound, the legislature granted eligible members that retired before December 31st, 2018, a matching annuity check capped at $2,000. August 31st of this year is when our actuarial valuation began. In December, it will be presented to the Board of Trustees. We are now moving on to discuss the TRS care plans. First and foremost, your premiums and plan designs are not changing as we start a new plan year on January 1st, 2021. This past February, our Board of Trustees voted on one of the largest healthcare procurements in TRS's history. This decision puts all of the TRS healthcare funds in a better position. TRS Care will not have a shortfall in the 2022-2023 fiscal biennium. As I mentioned, the TRS board awarded new contracts for TRS Care. TRS strives to maximize the value of every healthcare dollar, and this includes competitively bidding our contracts to ensure you and your family receive the highest value health benefits. TRS Care Standard, the plan for retirees under 65 who are not Medicare eligible, will switch from Aetna to Blue Cross Blue Shield on January 1st, 2021, and CVS will continue as your pharmacy benefit manager. TRS Care Medicare Advantage, the plan for retirees over 65 who are Medicare eligible, will switch from Humana to United Healthcare on January 1st, 2021, and SilverScript will continue as your pharmacy benefit manager. The TRS Care Medicare Advantage plan will continue the same in and out of network benefits, and the provider must still agree to bill United. You can call Blue Cross Blue Shield or United Healthcare now with questions, and you'll receive your new ID cards in December. We are also happy to announce another change for 2021 related to deductibles. We recognize that participants under 65 may have paid a considerable amount toward their deductible in the TRS Care Standard plan before turning 65. We've worked with United Healthcare to ensure that any current TRS Care Standard participant who turns 65 during the calendar year and joins the TRS Care Medicare Advantage plan will not have to meet a deductible for the rest of the year. This starts in 2021. We worked with United Healthcare on a provider outreach strategy because we know how important your relationship with your doctor is, and we want to ensure that participants have a smooth transition to United Healthcare. Like we've done in the past, we created a flyer that participants can give to their doctor to help our members to maximize their benefit. The flyer gives your doctor more information on how to work directly with United Healthcare, so it takes the patient out of the middle and provides an extra level of support to your doctor. We mailed that flyer out to you in September, and it is also on our website. We are working with United Healthcare as they are contacting providers that our members see today who are not in the network. United Healthcare will inform them how the plan works and assure them that they can be reimbursed for treating TRS participants. United Healthcare is also contacting current in-network providers to inform them that TRS Care Medicare Advantage is changing insurers to United Healthcare and that their patients will be getting new ID cards. This illustration shows that the TRS Care Medicare Advantage plan benefits often exceed benefits available on the individual market. We know that many people are approached by agents selling individual plans during Medicare's open enrollment period from October through December, or when our members turn 65. While TRS Care premiums may be higher than some plans on the individual market, the benefits in the TRS plans are likely to be considerably richer. If you'll look at the first column on the slide, TRS Care participants enjoy predictable copays, even if they have high drug costs, including specialty drugs. In many private plans, you pay 25% of the drug's total cost in the coverage gap phase. TRS participants do not experience the coverage gap, or donut hole, as it's commonly called. As depicted by the second column, our participants also enjoy a single copay for inpatient hospital stays, as opposed to a copay per day. In addition, TRS Care Medicare Advantage offers nutritious meals delivered to your doorstep after an inpatient stay. The third column explains that as a PPO plan, TRS Care Medicare Advantage has a large nationwide network, so you can see any provider that accepts Medicare and is willing to bill United. Many of the individual market Medicare Advantage plans are HMO plans with smaller networks and no out-of-network benefit. We know that many of you are not only worried about COVID-19, but how you might have to pay for testing or treatment. TRS is currently covering COVID-19 related diagnostic testing and inpatient treatment related to COVID-19 and all telemedicine visits at 100% for both TRS Care Standard and Medicare Advantage. These benefits have been shared with members through our email newsletter, The Pulse, and on the TRS homepage. These benefits are currently effective through all of 2020. TRS is closely monitoring the impact of COVID-19 on the long-term financial position of the health plan funds. TRS's goal is to balance providing coverage that brings its participants peace of mind during this unpredictable time with the financial sustainability of the funds. Due to COVID-19, TRS is conducting virtual presentations to maintain the well-being and safety of our participants and employees. As in prior years, There will still be plenty of time for question and answer sessions after each presentation so that your specific questions can be answered. There will also be a recorded session available on our website after all sessions are complete. Each session can accommodate up to 500 people, and we are currently planning on having 30 different sessions. Some of the sessions are already filling up, so we'll add additional sessions if demand asks for it. We mailed webinar invitations to retirees in 2 waves, in late August and early September, with instructions on how to register for a session. We have links to RSVP for information sessions on our website. In our past information sessions, we've learned that those who are turning 65 in the coming years are more interested in Medicare Advantage presentations, and some have come to our meetings expecting to know more about enrollment. In response, we've created a Turning 65 meeting embedded within the information session. Here's a list of dates and times for the information sessions. This information is also on our website, and we hope that one of these will work for you. Let's move on to our last topic of long-term facilities planning. TRS membership continues to grow. Our total TRS membership is over 1.6 million, and we expect to reach 2 million in the next few years. Additional staff is necessary to provide our members the level of service they expect and to prudently invest your funds. As our TRS membership grows, our facility needs also continue to grow. TRS opened its doors 83 years ago, and since then we've operated in 7 different facilities. We outgrew our current space for the first time over a decade ago and had to move our investment team out of the headquarters and into lease space in a nearby office building. That lease ends in 2021, and TRS's executive director's long-term vision for TRS is to be in buildings we own by 2025. And while we're currently in the middle of a pandemic and don't know what the near-term future holds, what we do know is that we need adequate space to serve our members and to invest your funds. We will continue to conduct thorough due diligence on a generational solution for TRS facilities to continue to provide our members a secure retirement. As part of our long-term facilities planning, we are also looking at opening regional offices to best serve our members and to reach them closer to where they live. In January of this year, we surveyed our active and retired members to better understand their preferences, and an overwhelming majority voted in favor of counseling offices in key strategic locations across Texas. The map of Texas indicates areas where the highest number of members are eligible to retire through 2024. We are initially targeting El Paso because of its distance from our current office in Austin, relatively low cost, and opportunities to partner with existing state properties. This will be part of our discussions in the 2021 legislative session. This last slide provides contact information for the different areas in which TRS can be of assistance. I will go ahead and stop screen sharing now, and we will start our Q&A portion of the presentation.
Now, if anyone has any questions for Addison or Dale, I know there was one question sent to me and I forwarded on that to Dale. But if you'll put that in the chat, they can see that and they'll be glad to answer any questions that you may have.
Sure, I'll take that first question, which is whether I would make a prediction about when the fund will be actuarially sound and capable of supporting a COLA. And let me just say, I won't make that prediction, because anybody who tries to make a short-term prediction about where the stock market is going tends to be made a monkey of. So I'm not going to do that. You know, our investing plan is built for the long term. And if I can give an analogy, I know that the weather in 2 months is probably going to be colder than it is today. But if you ask me what the weather is next Wednesday, I don't have any idea. The one thing I'll say is that during legislative years, there is an interim actuarial evaluation done. So depending on the short-term fluctuations in the market, we'll have those answers sometime next spring during the legislative session.
Thank you, Dale. Any other questions? Like I say, if you later, as you review the documentation and the information that's been shared, you have a question, you can certainly send it to me. I'll forward that on and we'll get those answered for you. We want to make sure that we stay informed. And as in the presentation, I mentioned the webinars, myself and my husband have participated, in which I think some of you have already. Very good informative information. And that's very important as members. We need to make sure we get that communicated out to all our members, because it is a change and we know sometimes change is not easy, and we want to make sure they're well informed. Again, any more questions for Addison or Dale? We want to respect their time and appreciate it very much. Any questions at this point regarding the TRS update? All right, I've got a question. My husband is turning 65 within the calendar year of 2021. Will we get information from TRS regarding this? Does that
Yes, sure. So so there are a few things there. There's plenty of information on our website depending on what your specific questions are. And then like Julie mentioned, definitely sign up for those information sessions that we have they started last week, I believe, maybe the week prior. And there's still plenty of sessions. There are Saturday sessions as well. So any specific questions that you have can be answered there. Just will you be sent information just kind of generally if he is a TRS member, I don't know if it's yourself or your husband or both. I know that we send out a packet 3 months before turning 65, just outlining what your health benefits will be. And I know that United will also be doing the same. So you should be getting information from both of us.
Okay, thank you. Is it true that the legislative will have to approve the TRS remote site options? Does that make sense? Is it true that the legislative will have to approve the TRS remote site options? And I guess they're talking about the ones that are identified throughout the state. Will that have to be approved through the legislative?
They technically do not have to be approved through the legislature. However, we like to receive their input, and so this is something that we will bring to the legislature just so that they are fully informed of what it is that we're wanting to do with the pilot office and in El Paso. So that's something that we would start with, and if we get the legislature's blessing, essentially, that's something that we will move forward with. But officially, no, it doesn't have to be approved, but we just like to maintain that relationship with the legislature to keep them informed.
Good, thank you. Any other questions? All right. Well, again, Addison, Dale, thank you so much for your time. Dale, continue to do what you do with figures. We'll put you, again, I'd rather you take care of that than the rest of us, so certainly please continue to do that. And if you get any insight in on the market, please share that also with us. But again, thank you both for your time and appreciate the service you do for us as retirees. Thank you.